Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Choma Stitches and my name is Choma. Today we are going to be sewing a basque shaped dress and I can't wait to share this with you guys. So I'll be making this dress with Ankara and Duchess fabric. I love Duchess fabric when I work because it's shiny and beautiful, and this color I think will really work well with this beautiful purple and black Ankara. So let's get straight into the drafting process first. As you can see, I divided my pattern into two. I have the front part, the back part, and the zip allowance attached to the back piece. Okay, so let's start with the full length. The full length of this dress is going to be 36 or 37 inches. Now the Ankara is going to be stopping at 24 inches. So I'm going to be marking out the 24 inches where the Ankara will be stopping. The shoulder measurement 7.5 inches, back shoulder slanting 1 inch, and then from there I'm going to come down to 7.3 inches for my armhole. For the front, the shoulder slanting is 1.5 inch, but from the 1 inch part I'm going to be marking, I'm just going to measure from the shoulder to 1 inch, and from this 1 inch I will mark my 7.3. Connect these two armhole together. I'm going to mark out the shoulder. For the neckline, let's start with 3 inches for the neckline before we start alteration. 3 inches. And for the down part, for the front depth 3 inches. Connect the line to the shoulder slanting. For the back, I'm using the same 3 inches for the width, and then I'll use 1 inch for the back depth. Next, we are going to be taking out the armhole. For the front, I'm going up by 3 inches, coming by half of an inch, rule it to the shoulder slanting, and then use the curved ruler to curve it. For the back piece, I'm just going to divide the pattern into two. Taking half of an inch and connect it to the armhole slanting, and then so I connect it to the shoulder slanting and then curve it. Okay, now let's input the other measurements. Now for the back piece, I'm going to come down to 14 inches. Now at this 14 inches, I'm going to be taking out 1 inch, 14 inches, and I'm going to rule it to this place, and I will show us why I am doing this and the purpose. Okay, I'm going to see that when I start to eliminate it. Okay, now there will be a dart on this dress as well. So for the back dart is going to start at 11 inches. From here, I'm going to come down by 8 inches or 9 inches. Now this is where the dart is going to stop. To get your dart, I'm using my bust point, which is 8 inches divided by 2, 4 inches. So I'm marking 4 inches. Now the half of this place is 4.5 inches at this point. Okay, so let's connect this line first. So this is the half. At this place, I'm going to take out 1.5 inch on both sides. So the dart is going to be 1.5 inch. That is a 0.75 inch on both sides, and I'm going to slant this. My hip measurement is 43 inches. That will give us 10.8 inches. So 43 divided by 4 will be 10.8 inches. My waist measurement is 28 inches. So 28 inches divided by 4 will be 7 inches. You add the 1.5 inch, the waist dart here, and we have 8.5 inches. My bust measurement is bust 35 inches. That will be 8.75. I'm going to mark 8.75 here, and I'm going to be connecting this. So you can try to smoothen out here a bit. Okay, now for the back Basque Effect, I'm going to come down to say 3.5 inches. and I'm going to try and create the Basque effect for the back piece. Okay, and then from the waistline here, I'm going to go up by say 1.5 inch. I want the Basque effect to really show, so I'm going to start slanting it from here. So we have 3.5 here and we have 1.5 here. So I went up by 1.5, came down by 3.5. Okay, now we are done for the back piece. Now let's face the front piece. For the front piece, I'm going to come down from my shoulder to my bust point 10 inches, shoulder to my underbust 13.5 inches, and then let's use a 16.5 for our waistline. Okay, so I'm going to just move these markings all the way here. Now this is my underbust. So from here I'm going to mark out my dart from the underbust. The bust point 8 inches divided by 2, that's 4 inches. I'm marking 4 inches. So I'm going to come down here and add let's say 7 inches or 6.5 inches. So the dart is going to stop here, but I'll rule this to the hip line. Okay, my bust is 8.75 inches. I'm going to mark 8.75 inches. I'll take out the dart for the waistline. I'm taking out the same 1.5 inch I took out from the back piece. So I'll mark 0.75 inch here and 0.75 inch on this side. Connect it here. Connect this here. Under the bust, this is the waist and this is the underbust. From the underbust, I'm going to take this dart up here and I'll take it the same 0.75 inch. Now from this 0.75 inch, I'm going to place my 2 inches and move it to this side. So I have 2 inches at the dart under the bust. Okay, so I'm connecting this rule, connecting this. All right, now from here you're going to input your waist measurement. My waist measurement is 28 inches. That is 7 inches, right? Now when you add the 1.5 inch here, you're going to have 8.5 inches. So I'll mark 8.5 inches. For my underbust is about 27.5 inches. So if you have 27.5, that's 6.8 something here. You now add the 2 inches for the dart here, and this is what you get. So I'm going to connect this like so and like so. Now for the hip measurement, I'm going to do this, use the same 10.8. Okay, so the same, I'm going to be marking the same 10.8 inches around the hip, and I'll connect it using this. And then from here as well, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch for our Basque Effect. And for the front, I am also going to come down by 3.5 inches for the Basque. And I'm going to connect this the same way I connected it at the back piece. Alright, now the difference between the front and the back piece is that the front piece, I'm going to be cutting it open. So we're going to be having two different parts, two pieces, while the back is not going to be cut open. That is why the dart line stops here. It didn't extend to this place. And for this one, the dart line got to the hip area, okay, which means I'm going to open it all the way. Please note that. So I'm going to extend this like so. I am going to come in from the bust point. I'm going to come in by say 1.5 inch. Now from this 1.5 inch, I am going to use my curved ruler to curve it to the under bust. Okay, I'm curving this to the under bust, and then I am going to curve this as well to the bust point here. For the shoulder, I'm going to come in by 2 inches from the end of the shoulder line. I'm going to come in by 2 inches, and I'm going to connect these 2 inches to this marking I have made for the bust. So this is coming all the way here. Now this same 2 inches I did here, I'm going to mark it at the back 2 inches here. I'm going to make another alteration. So instead of using only 2 inches for my shoulder, I'm going to be using everything that I have here. From here, I'm going to come in, say maybe 1.5 inch or 1.5 inch. Okay, let's work with 1.5 inch. from this armhole curve, and I'm going to connect it. I'm going to connect this to the 1.5 inch I marked. This is 1.5, this is 1.5. So I'm connecting it to the 1.5 we have marked for the bust area, and then I am going to slant this to the shoulder to give us Queen Anne neckline. So the shoulder is going to be having a Queen Anne neckline effect. Okay, so this whole part I'm going to be cutting out this part. So I'm going to be taking out this part completely. All right, so this is for the front. Now the back, since we're using the whole of the back neckline, so we're going to use the back the way it is, like this. Okay, so I'm going to cut out my pattern. So this is our pattern. So I want to make another changes for the bust area. I am going to be marking this all the way. I'll cut it out completely. So the whole of the under bust for the centerpiece, I'm going to cut it all out completely. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. So this, so I have cut out the whole of the top part from the under bust all the way to the neckline. I've cut out everything, and then I want to also do some alteration at the back. Now this is why I marked out this 14 inches I marked out here. What I want to do is to tighten the zip area so that the dress will not gape. Okay, so from here I'm going to come up. I'm taking out 1 inch from the back, so I'm going to come up from this 14 inches by 1 inch here. That's half an inch up here, half an inch up here. This is going to be our slant. I'm going to slant it. Okay, from here I'm taking this in like so, taking here in like so. I'm marking it all the way, so I'm going to be taking out that part. So I'm going to open here, open this place up, take out this dart. So I'm going to be connecting this. Next, I am also going to be taking out half of an inch from that same place. From here, I'm going to come in by half of an inch, slant it towards this place, take out, come this way, and also slant it towards the same center. Okay, the same waistline. Now I am going to take out that part as well. Now this is my back pattern. It's now ready for us to transfer the pattern to fabric. This is going to help to eliminate the gaping of the zip at the back side. Okay, so I've transferred my patterns to fabric and also cut out the lining pieces just the same way, and I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance on both the sides for the front and for the back. All right, so next we're going to start sewing. I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline for the back, and then I will take out the darts. Okay, and I like to take out the darts separately, so I'll take out the dart for the lining differently. So let me just go ahead and show us how we're going to do that. So we're going to transfer the dart. What you have here is 11. I'm going to measure, come here and mark 11. Okay, and then from the dart length is 8.5. From here you mark your 8.5. This is how I'm going to transfer my dart, and then you take in your measurement. So measure from the, you are going to measure from this place for the apex of the dart. Okay, that's where the dart has more allowance, so you're going to measure what you have from there to the center, and I have 4.8. so from here I'm going to come and measure 4.8, and you're going to connect this. What is this apex? It is 4 inches, so I am going to come here and mark 4 inches here, and then I'll take out my dart the way I took it out before, 0.75, 0.75, and then I am going to connect it to the end of the dart lines. Now I'm going to repeat this same thing on the main fabric and repeat it on both sides of the other side of the back, and I'll take out the dart. This is for the back piece, and then for the front piece I also cut out the lining pieces for on both sides, as you can see. And now while cutting this out, this is the part that came out from here, the center piece. This place is our dart manipulation and stuff. So this is a dart manipulation that was taken out, and this is the pattern, like as if it's returned back. Now when I took my measurement, I said I'm going to start my chest line to be at 7 inches. So if I want my chest line to be 7 inches, which means the material I am going to be putting here for the cup area is going to be long enough. What I have here is 6.1, and I would like to add the allowance to it because it's going to be gathered around the from the chest line all the way to the under bust. It's going to be, the fabric is going to be gathered, and this is what I cut out. This is the one I cut out. The full the width is 40 inches. It's on fold, so what you have is 20 on fold, that is 40 inches, and the length I have 8.3. Now what I have here is about 6.3, okay, which means I have this, the fabric I cut out is 2 inches longer than what I have here. Now this is what I'm going to do to prepare this fabric for me to be able to attach it to this part. I am going to hem one side of the top, okay, just choose one side. I'm going to hem it with half of an inch folded wide, which means I'm hemming it and I'm taking out like 1 inch from the hemming. Okay, that's where I'm going to be passing elastic. That part I'm going to put elastic is going to be my chest line. All right, and then the other side of it, I have to give it a bit of a curve like this, because we are going to be sewing it to this place. Okay, we're going to be sewing it round to this place, so I'm going to give it a bit of a curve around the end. Now to do that, that is going to be like on this side. Now because it's going to be gathered, which means more fabric, more than half of the fabric is going to be gathered into this place like this. So let's say it's going to start from around here, so all the way from here I'm going to start curving this fabric, curving this. So I'm going to curve it like so. So from here I'm using my free hand. Okay, I'm using free hand to just curve this, to just curve it to get here. This is what I am assuming I'm going to be gathering. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut. Now this is to give us this shape, so we're assuming that this is going to be gathered like this here. I hope you understand what I'm explaining. All right, now for us to be able to gather it, of course we are going to run a loose stitch. So I am going to go ahead and hem it with 1/2 inch folded wide, and then I will now run a loose stitch. I will run a loose stitch all the way from this end till the other end for attaching it to the upper bodice, to the bodice. Okay, and also I am going to be joining the dart lines. I'll be sewing lining to lining and sewing main fabric to main fabric. So this is how it's going to come out looking when we are done sewing it. Look at this. So I'm going to sew this to this, and when after attaching it, I see the Basque Effect is given, and then I'm going to iron the seam line to keep it flat before we attach the other part, and I will repeat the same thing for the lining piece as well. All right guys, so I've taken out the darts. This is the back piece. I've taken out the darts. Look at this. Taken out the darts for the main fabric, the lining piece, and this is what I have, and I've ironed them. Okay, this is one piece and this is the other piece. This is the zipper I'm going to be using. I'm here to attach the zipper. Before I attach the zipper, I'm going to be attaching the lower bodice. Now you calculate the full length of the dress you want. Once you take out the one that you have the Ankara, whatever is left is the main the other fabric, that's lower bodice. Okay, so I have this for the lower bodice. For the back pieces, I cut it into two, as you can see. So what I'm going to go do now is for the back piece, let me release this thing because I pinned them together. Now as you can see, I cut the fabrics straight. Okay, I cut it straight. There is no curvy or any joint, anything. It's straight. I'm just going to go ahead, and I have run a loose stitch on it, as you can see as well. I ran a loose stitch on it from edge to edge, so I'm going to be joining it differently. So I'm going to go ahead and join them. I'm looking for the right side though. This is wahala. So I'm going to start pulling the thread. I'm going to pull the thread and I will gather it. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew it, and when I'm done, you will have something like this. It will just be gathered in this direction, and I will repeat the same thing on this side as well. Okay, and then here is the front piece. This is the front piece. I've joined them and I've ironed it as well, as you can see. And this is the lining piece, sewn separately as well. Okay, and this is the part that we're going to be using for the cup area. And as you can see, I have hemmed it. I have hemmed this, and I'm supposed to now sew it around. Now what I'm going to do now is pass my elastic. This is my elastic that I'm going to be using for the top part, because it's going to stay here. So this is going to pull all of this together. So using my loop turner, I'm going to pass my loop turner inside and bring it out to the other end first. I'm going to hook this on the loop turner, lock it, and then gently pass it back inside. So when you get to the end like so, you secure it with a pin and then continue pulling it just gently. Now I'm going to hold this down. Now we have this well gathered, as you can see. So I am now going to start attaching this. Using this as a guide, I am going to mark where it's going to start. So this is where it's starting on this side. I'm going to place this here and mark it as well here. So it's starting here. So from here, we're going to take the right side and we will start gathering it. Okay, first you can, to even out the spread, you're going to first find the middle part. Now this is the center. I'm going to find the center here. Then I'm going to take this and pin it here. And as you are pinning this, you are going to take the lining piece as well. So I'm going to be gathering this all around. Gather it until you have sewn it everywhere. So I will start from here, one end, and gather it all around until you have gathered it all the way until we get to this part. And when you do that, you are going to use the lining piece to cover all the sewing. Okay, you are going to lining piece to cover it up as you are sewing it. Okay, so as you are placing it like this, you are putting up, you can sew it first before you attach the lining, but I like to do it together. So I'm going to gently arrange it on my machine and sew it with the line, using the lining to cover all my sewing. And so guys, I've sewn it. Look at it. Look at the Basque Effect at the back. Look at how nice this came out. And this is it. This is the wrong side. I've also sewn the zip, as you can see. Don't forget to weave the inside to keep the inside as clean as the outside. And of course, I stopped sewing at this point because I have not changed my thread back to the cream color. I'm going to be using the cream color to sew the down part, so you don't have to use the same color of thread to sew everything completely. And this is the sleeve we're going to be using. I want a short sleeve, and I'm using this sleeve pattern I already drafted for this tutorial you're seeing up there. So I'm going to be using it, and this is what I do. I want a length 5 inches for the sleeve, so I just moved it all the way up to the 5 inches. And as you can see, the sleeve pattern already has a sewing allowance. So all I did is just place it, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out round, and I'll use the other part of the sleeve as the lining piece because they tend to match. I'll also leave a link in the description box for the sewing tutorial of this sleeve I just showed you guys. And this sleeve is a It's a trending sleeve, and it's fun sleeve to make. It's a rose draped sleeve, and I hope you guys will like it. So I'll leave the link in the description box so you can check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this sleeve, and then I'll flip it over and use it to cut out the lining piece, the other side. And as you can see, this lining piece has an opening here, so I'm going to go ahead and sew the openings first, and then use it to sew the hem of the sleeve to give it a neat finishing. And this is the front piece of the dress, and as you can see, this is the sewing allowance where I attached the cup area, and I sewed it with the lining at the same time. So we sew it in between the main fabric and the lining, so that the lining is going to cover all the rough sewing and all the joining and sewing allowance. So when you flip it over, it covers it. Also, I gave it a notch, as you can see, very close to the seam line. I gave it multiple notch so that it will relax, because all of those parts are all a curved areas. Okay, when you are sewing on a curved area, always remember to to give it a notch, and also top stitch. Look at this. If you look at this closely, you see the top stitch line I gave it so that the lining will relax inside. And I'm going to also go ahead and iron it. You're going to iron it to keep it well relaxed. Now this is for the front piece. Now that the front piece you are done, it's time to attach the lower part of the dress to the front piece. And this is the effect. Look at how this came out. It came out really nice, and this part is going to fit in your cup, your bust area. That is the purpose. Okay, so now we're going to be attaching the gathers at the lower bodies of this dress. And so just like I attached the lower bodies for the back piece, I'm going to go ahead and gather this one as well to create the same basque effect. Okay people, so I have gone ahead to sew it. See, I've gathered it on it, and this is how it looks from the back. So please don't forget to give this a neat weaving. Okay, you have to weave it to give it neat finishing on the inside. Also, I've joined the shoulders here. I've joined the shoulders for the back and the front together. And then here is the sleeve. So this is what I did with the extra that I cut out. Joined it here, and then sew it at the hem. That way when you turn it in, like I said, you make the main sleeve longer than the lining piece, okay, so that it gives this finishing at the end. Look at how neat it looks. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew the sleeve just the way you attach a normal sleeve. I'm going to attach the sleeve, and then I will join the sides. I will try this on and show us how it looks. If this is something you'll be trying, you can let me know in the comment section. And when you do try yours, you can share the video or the pictures with us on our Facebook group at Creative Tailoring and Styling. I would like to see your work. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I would like to see them. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. If at this point you're yet to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Please go ahead and subscribe and like this video. Also, you can share this video as a bonus so that this community can grow. Also, check out these fun tutorials that we have on this channel as well. These are all tutorials that are already on this channel. You can watch them and let me know what you think. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.